Hi guys, it's Josh Lloyd here for your NBA first look for DraftKings for Tuesday, January the 26th. We've got just the 3 games on here on the 1 year anniversary of Kobe Bryant's passing. It's obviously going to be a pretty somber day in the NBA, but we do have 3 games on for DFS, and there is some value that we need to have a look at. And the first game we look at is the Clippers and the Hawks. No Patrick Beverley, no Kawhi Leonard, no Paul George for the Clippers, while Trae Young, Danilo Gallinari, and Clint Capella are all questionable for the Hawks. Of course, Young and Capella missed the last game, and that opened up a lot of value for that Hawks team. At this point, we don't know exactly what the starting lineup's going to be for the Clippers, but you'd have to imagine that Reggie Jackson would move in there. Marcus Morris, who missed last game and is returning here, will move in, and probably Luke Kennard will also jump into that starting lineup. Morris at 4,700 is really appealing to me. A guy that really thrives on usage and doesn't get usage when George and Leonard are there, but they won't be there. So he's going to get a big opportunity. I like him quite a bit. And then you got other guys like Lou Williams, who's up at 5,800. Lou has obviously been struggling, but it is an opportunity here for him. And then I don't like Reggie Jackson, who's going to start, but 6,800 is just too much for Reggie Jackson. He's not that good, even in an expanded role. I'd much rather take the 6,000 for Luke Kennard. Even then, I don't think it's a superb option to look at Kennard there, but he has had some okay games. You see a 30-pointer here in 21 minutes against the Indiana Pacers in a blowout, 32 against the Kings in 30 minutes the game before that. So he can get value, but those prices have been elevated. So yeah, it's not an ideal scenario right across the board there for those guys, despite what we may have thought. For the Hawks side of things, Trae Young at 9,100. Now, if Young plays, I really like that, but we just don't know. And if he is out, Rajon Rondo will get the start. Rondo's at 4,200. He had 24 in the last start. It's not that exciting. Well, Onyeka Okongwu started in place of Capella and put up some good numbers with blocks and steals, but fouls got him in trouble. He'd just be a GPP sort of guy. I'd be more interested in going in DeAndre Hunter. 6,200 for Hunter. He dropped 40 plus. In fact, he had 46 exactly in that last game without Trae. He would be a good option, as would John Collins, who almost had 46, and he's at 7,600. So they'd be 2 absolute guys that I'd be looking at to plug in if we do hear the news that that Trae is out and Clint Capella is out. But we just don't know at that point, or at this point, where those guys are going to be, whether they're going to be playing. Herder's at 5,600. I think people will be a little bit off him because he struggled somewhat last game, 18 points in 29 minutes. But there is an opportunity for him to get more ball handling reps if we do have Young out and then more minutes as well. So he'd be the other guy that I'd take a look at, despite a somewhat underwhelming performance in the last time that we saw this Hawks team play without Young and Capella across the weekend. The second game is the Wizards and the Rockets. DeMarcus Cousins will get another start, most likely, because Christian Wood is out once more. Cousins was fantastic last game, putting up really, really big numbers across the board. Now, of course, the first game that we saw him start without Christian Wood wasn't very good, but he was awesome in that last one with 58 fantasy points. He had 29 the one before that. I still like using him at 6,000. I think there is value remaining in DeMarcus Cousins at that salary. Johnny Wall was on a minutes limit. He should be good to go against his former team. He's at 6,900. Probably more of a GPP guy. And the Wizards are going to be out without a ton of guys. No Hachimura, no Avdia, no Wagner, no Troy Brown, no Ish Smith. Maybe no Hal Neto. Westbrook will probably be on a minutes limit as well, so I don't want to spend 96 on him. While Beal's at 99, and that looks to be a pretty good option to me given how well he has been playing. With the likely return of Daniel House and Victor Oladipo, I think the value of someone like Eric Gordon is going to be reduced. He's at 6,700, and I don't really like that at all. House at 45 doesn't do it for me. If I want to take flyers on guys, I'm looking at Jerome Robinson, who at $4,000 will be a starter again. He had 32 points last game. That works for me. And then a guy that not many people will be using, maybe Garrison Matthews at 4,200. Gary had 21 points last game, and he's going to get every opportunity to shoot threes on this team. You could also look at an Alex Len at 3,300, who played minutes behind Robin Lopez. Just remove that out of your way. Bring Alex Len in there. And have a look at what his salary sits at, 3,300. He had 20 points in his first game for the Wizards, and I think given their absences, he absolutely is someone we can pay some attention to. Oladipo at 79 probably looks to me a fade to me. Same with PJ Tucker and Jay Sean Tate. And Isaac Bonga is going to get another start, but at 4,100, is there enough value in him? I'm not convinced that there is. The last game of the night is actually the only game that we've got a spread and a total for at this point, and that is the Utah Jazz and the New York Knicks, and it's a big one. The Jazz are 11-point favorites. The total is 212 here. We know that Reggie Bullock is going to be out for the Knicks again. Rudy Gobert at 7,200 looks to be really underpriced to me. I like that for Gobert. Maybe there's a blowout risk, but he should still get 35 even in limited minutes. RJ Barrett was pretty poor last time. At 6,600, there is risk in using him, but Alec Burks at 53 looks pretty strong. He should get another start. He's giving us solid enough numbers since he returned from his injury, averaging 24 in 28 minutes and had 32 in the last game. I like that. I like Conley a little bit at 6,500, but I'm not falling all over myself to get involved in the Mike Conley business. Don Mitchell at 84. Really love what he's doing. Now, there is a risk that the bubble bursts a little bit and some of the shooting falls off, but he is averaging 47 over his last 3 and 44 over his last 5. Very strong numbers. While Julius Randle at 9,700. Randle's shooting is off, but it's not really reflecting in his DFS scores. He's putting up some pretty strong numbers with 43 in the last game. And if you have a look there, 43, 51, 54, 46. And at 9,700, I like it. He's not like he's going to be limited in minutes or anything like that. I think 6,100 for Jordan Clarkson is too high, while a lot of people are going to be excited about using Emmanuel quickly at 5,200. Now, he is going to remain on the bench, and he's been a little bit up and down in his production. 43, and the game before he had 18. The game before he had 10. The game before that, he had 16. And then he had 33 and 40. So he's all over the shop. Very, very hard, and by hard, I mean impossible, to trust him in any sort of cash lineups. But in a GPP, he's got that massive upside, but he could just do nothing. We might see 40 minutes of Alfred Payton instead of getting quickly out there. That is what happens with Tom Thibodeau a lot of the time. As for Payton, he's at 5,700. I don't really like that one all that much. And then Royce O'Neal at 5,000 also is probably a little bit overpriced. Mitchie Robinson struggling somewhat, but they haven't dropped his salary enough where I have to get excited about it at that 5,800 mark. Let's move that out of the way and bring Mitch across. I just think there are better ways of spending that money. He's struggling with his block numbers. The minutes have been up and down. He had that 36-point game against the Warriors, but realistically, he hasn't been pushing 30 often enough for me to get super excited about looking at Mitch Robinson on this 3-game slate. There is also, again, a blowout risk here. Not that it really matters too much for the Knicks minutes because we know Thibodeau doesn't really limit his players, but maybe for the Jazz guys like Gobert and Conley especially, he might play 27, 28 minutes instead of 31 or 32. So that would be one reason that I'd be steering pretty clear of Conley. I didn't talk about Bogdanovic. He's at 5,900. He hasn't been great, but he's still hitting around 30 a night, which in terms of floor value is actually not too bad. So I don't think that that's a complete disaster of a situation to use him out there. That'll do it for a 3-game slate for the NBA on Tuesday. Guys, subscribe, hit that little bell below, become part of the notification gang, hit a thumbs up, leave a comment. You can follow me on the Josh Lloyd Fantasy Basketball channel as well and listen to my podcast, Locked On Fantasy Basketball. Guys, we are done here. Thank you so much for watching, everyone. See ya.